Hello and welcome everyone to CBA's edition of First Take. I am here with Nick Haray and Chris Heite, and today they will be arguing who is better, the Giants or the Jets. The first topic we'll be talking about is who is the better quarterback. Nick, let's hear what you have to say.
Well, some may think he's bad, but he has the fourth best completion percentage in the NFL. Fifth most rushing yards in the NFL. Tore up the Bears' defense, 2 rushing touchdowns. Was able to drive down the field against the Ravens. I mean, he gets the job done. We're 5-1 right now. He's able to continuously, throughout the weeks, just continue going, getting the job done.
So just to be sure, we're talking about Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah, we are talking about
Daniel Jones, the mediocre Giants quarterback. In New York, there's been Eli. So many good quarterbacks. Zach Wilson has been in the league only a couple years, and he's just the better quarterback. He has more potential. Daniel Jones has consistently shown that he cannot do anything in this league.
Well, let me stop you there.
Go. Listen.
All right, Zach Wilson has shown so many mistakes that he's made. He's thrown into double coverage multiple times. Just so many rookie mistakes. Against the Packers, 10 completions for 110 yards. That's no QB numbers that you could have right there.
But how many years has Daniel Jones been in the league and had his same mediocre stats? I mean, Zach Wilson is such a young player in this league that he doesn't have enough years where you can say that he's been a less than consistent quarterback. He's only been in the league a couple of years, and he's shown potential. He has not been great by any means for the Jets, but he has shown potential that he could be the future for the Jets. Unlike Daniel Jones, who has been the Giants quarterback for a little while now, taking over for Eli, and he's just shown such mediocrity that I think the Giants need to change. Whereas the Jets are kind of like not set, but they have a better chance with more success with Zach Wilson.
Well, I think Daniel Jones, his ability to run the ball as well makes him so we can stay. He can be the QB still. He's the read option that we have is really good for us. With Saquon, we are able to absolutely tear up defenses. I think that Zach Wilson has just shown. I think he's shown mediocrity even worse throughout the season. He's walked into sacks, has no pocket awareness. He has good receivers. Like, he has Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, but he's not throwing to them. He's just not looking down the field. He's like checking it down to Michael Carter and Breece Hall, and it's just you're seeing nothing there. You're seeing your offense is very one-dimensional, and I think teams will be able to figure that out soon.
But are you accounting for the one situation, the one game against my Steelers, that Zach Wilson's return game after the injury, where he absolutely tore up the Steelers defense?
I disagree with that. He did not tear up the Steelers defense. I watched that game, and he threw the ball into double coverage at least 4 or 5 times. He did not look good there. A lot of bad decision-making. Was not like running. He had multiple chances where he had open space. He could have just ran the ball down the field, and he was just very indecisive. I feel like he makes too many rookie mistakes, and I do not think he'll be able to make it in the NFL.
What about that game-winning drive against the Steelers? I'm telling you, the game-winning drive against the Steelers showed me, as a Steeler fan, that Zach Wilson has the potential to be a very solid quarterback, whereas Daniel Jones has shown the same thing every year, where he has a couple good games, and then he just continues to play not that good.
Well, you know what? Daniel Jones did have a game-winning drive against the Ravens. We were down 20-10, and he came back, scored, drove down the field, passing the ball, which he's shown throughout the season that he's been able to get better at. And against the Packers, we were down 20-10 as well. I mean, he's shown 2 game-winning drives to Zach Wilson.
All right. So the next topic we're going to be talking about is coaching and who is the better coach. So, Chris, what do you have to say?
Well, the Giants have Brian Daboll, a very beloved coach in the NFL in New York right now. He arguably in the running for Coach of the Year, but I have to argue that Robert Saleh is just as good, if not better. They both, comparing them, they both do have that care for the team. Robert, they're so enthusiastic. They're younger. They're always hyping up the team. And a thing about Robert Saleh is, and this is kind of random, but I'm sure a lot of people see this on social media, that Robert Saleh is running up every stadium he's at for some reason beyond anybody's understanding. He's always running up to stands, and you see it every pregame, and it's almost like he might just be doing that for a workout for all we know, but and from the point of view of the fan, he's almost like inspiring his team to be stronger, to be more active, and to definitely be better. And that Robert Saleh to Brian Dable, very close in coaching, and it's very easy to argue both ways. How about you, Nick?
Well, I think that Brian Dable is even more passionate than Robert Saleh. I mean, have you seen him after games, how pumped he is? The Jets have a flat-out, on paper, better roster than us, but we won more games. We're 5-1, you're 4-2. We're both good teams, but the Giants are just better right now. And Brian Dable's tough and dependable. He's found a way to keep us in games. Even in a game we lost against the Cowboys, I'll admit, when I was watching that game, I think we should have been blown out, but we kept it 23-16, and that's some part due to Brian Dable's coaching, him talking to the coordinators. And not only that, let's talk about the GM, Joe Schoen. We've been in salary cap nightmare, but he's been able to get us out of that. Next year, we'll actually be able to pick up guys. We'll be able to have a better roster. And we've made the right moves during the draft, drafting Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Daniel Bellinger, Wan'Dale Robinson, who all have proven they can be quality players in the NFL.
Oh, if we're going to talk about drafting, we got to talk about Sauce Gardner, the cornerback star for the Jets. And I know that's not coaching, and we're kind of leaning away from coaching for now, but the Jets and the Giants, I think, almost had equal drafts. I mean, we can probably both agree. I'll give it to you that Brian Dable is the better coach right now. But if we're going to draft now, I mean, they had equal drafts. All the Jets players that they built up their team, and they really looked for the future. And even Sauce, I feel like, out of all the picks between the two New York teams, I think Sauce Gardner was that best pick. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I do agree with you in that aspect. I have seen Sauce Gardner play, and he's very good. But I think overall, we had a better draft. We drafted tons of guys, and they're all have proven that they can play in the NFL. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson was injured, and right when he's back, he's a phenomenal slot receiver. I think he had 3 receptions, 38 yards, and a touchdown. He was able to get open. I mean, Danny Bellinger has just continued to defy the odds every season or every game, a touchdown. I'm like, oh my God, and he just gets open in the flat. And I just think overall, going back to coaching, we've been able to win games that are close, really, really close. Brian Dable, first game. So Brian Dable's first game as a head coach, and with the first head coaching job with the Giants, and first game, he went for 2. It took a lot of big guts to do that. And I just feel like, a lot of coaches wouldn't do that in their first game. But, I just think overall, he's kept us in games. And, we, on paper, have a worse roster than you guys, but a better record.
All right, guys, so talking about records, let's talk about the schedule. Who do you think will have the better record by the end of the season? Nick?
Well, I think by far the Giants will have a better record by the end of the season. I mean, we just flat out, we have an easier schedule. We have one of the easiest schedules. And I think by the end of the year, I think we're guaranteed at least 4 more wins. I mean, we're going against the Jags, Seahawks, Texans, Colts, Commanders twice. Those are all winnable games. And I'm not even saying we win all of those games. We have at least 4 wins, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants and the NFL right now have one of the easiest schedules, and whereas the Jets, they don't have a hard schedule per se, where they just came off of Green Bay. I mean, they have the Broncos, they have the Patriots with Bailey Zappi, they have the Bills, which is a very hard game.
Well, I think with the Patriots, Mac Jones will be back by then.
Yeah, that's another thing that you got to talk about. Is Bailey Zappi the better quarterback? But that's a completely different debate. But they have the Bills. I mean, the Bills twice in the second half of the season here. They have the Dolphins, and with hopefully Tua will be back. And they even games like the Vikings. A lot of people are talking about the Vikings. Kirk Cousins. He's not bad. He's playing pretty well this season, and that's a hard game. And the Jets can really show resiliency. Whereas the Giants, if they win a lot of these games, they're just showing that they can win these winnable games. But the Jets are almost the underdog in a lot of these games.
I think the Giants are the underdog in a lot of these games too. If you've seen almost all of the game picks, the Ravens throughout Ravens were projected to win. Packers throughout almost the entire season. But I think the Jets, regarding the Jets schedule, I mean, the next 2 weeks they have brutal matchups against the Broncos and Bills, and you may be thinking, why the Broncos? They've allowed around 16 points per game. they have a very solid defense. You have Patrick Surtain, an elite corner in the NFL, good rushing Bradley Chubb. I mean, I think you guys are going to run into a lot of problems against the Broncos and Bills. And I think these next 2 games you guys have will make or break your season right now.
Absolutely. But now, I'm going to bring up something. This has to do with the schedule. I'm sticking to the topic, don't worry. But I'm going to say it now, and I'm curious to see how you'll react to this.
Okay.
The Giants are not a 5-1 team. They just are not a 5-1 team.
Well,
there is no, because if you look at the schedule, and this goes back to coaching, the Giants team, and you said it yourself, the Jets have a better roster on paper.
Yeah.
So if the Jets were 5-1, I would consider them a 5-1 team. But the Giants don't have as good roster, and their 5-1 record contributes to Brian Daboll and coaching. Without Brian Daboll, they'd be 1-4.
All right. I'm sorry. So, yes, Brian Daboll has definitely helped the team, but we've had underrated guys just absolutely tear up the field. Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau on defense, really adding to that pass rush. I don't see how you could think of us as less than a 5-1 team. I mean, we've won the games. They've all been close, and we've won. They're all solid teams. I'm not saying all the teams are good. I mean, get it. We had a free one against the Bears.
The Panthers. The Panthers are
all right.
32nd in the league right now.
All right,
solid team.
Yeah, the Panthers aren't great, but we've had good games. I mean, we've been down, and we're second half team. We're outscored teams 87-49 in the second half. I don't like. The Giants are a 5-1 team. We're 5-1. We've won those games, and we have a good roster. I mean, yes, it's underrated, but we have a good roster. We have Saquon absolutely tearing up defenses, leads almost probably top 3 in rushing yards per game. Just tearing up teams, and I just think overall that the Giants are truly a 5-1 team. I don't think the Jets are a 4-2 team. I'll say that.
Really, really, really. I mean, if we're looking at the Jets' wins, I mean, the Jets have beaten the Steelers. They beat the Packers, the same team that the Giants.
All right, the Steelers are not good.
Is this going to become a Steelers? Because if we're going to start talking about the Steelers, the Steelers aren't a bad team. Now, I don't want to start talking about the Steelers.
This is the worst Steelers team I have seen in the past couple years. I mean, they have no QB.
I agree.
No QB.
No QB.
Their defense is mediocre at best. They lost T.J. Watt. They're probably their best player. Yes, the Steelers beat the Bucs, but and I don't think the Jets. They barely won that game against Kenny Pickett, who really put the pick in Pickett. He threw up 2 or 3 interceptions. Zach Wilson that game looked terrible. It wasn't a good game.
All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. It was good arguing between you two, and hopefully everyone enjoys it.